Hello, my name is Sarah Gordon, and I'm going to talk to you today about skills-based learning. When reading the Teaching and Learning edition of the 2022 EDUCAUSE Horizon Report, my eyes went directly to the social trends section and drilled down further to skills-based learning. So, what is skills-based learning? Skills-based learning focuses on the skills acquired during learning rather than the knowledge acquired during learning. A student can learn abstract facts about math, science, and reading. However, all that knowledge does not equip them with the skills to actually count, hypothesize, or read. That is where skills-based learning enters the equation. The opposite of skills-based learning is content-based learning. This often looks like sitting in a class and listening to a teacher drone on about a topic, which leaves most children looking like the kid here on the screen. Content-based learning has been the norm for much of the history of education. This feeling isn't just true for kids. Adults get bored easily too. Adult learning principles tell us that the average adult attention span is 15 to 20 minutes, and therefore instructors should change topics or delivery styles at least that often. Some say that time span is getting shorter day by day with the increased use of instant gratification technology. Instead of didactic learning, skills-based learning pushes learners to be critical thinkers and create transferable skills that they can use in multiple situations. Skills-based learning goes hand in hand with the trend towards student-centered learning and encouraging learners to solve their own problems. Skills-based learning enhances learning in several ways. Educators know that rote memorization does not take students far in our ever-changing world where we are dealing with increasingly complex problems. Somebody with a mastery of a skill is often more useful to organizations than someone who knows a little bit about a bunch of different topics. In the year 2022, we all know that information overload is a huge issue. A simple Google search produces thousands of results. Our email inboxes and phones are flooded with information, advertising, and more. There is simply too much information available for us to memorize and utilize in a meaningful way. Skills-based learning allows learners to slow down and focus on the application of a few meaningful skills. Instead of a generic computer science class, data analysts can now take courses on specific applications that they will actually use every day in their jobs. Another enhancement is the teaching style behind skills-based learning. We can all remember a class where we had a boring teacher droning on and on at the front of the room, never pausing to ask questions or gain insight from the students. There's a reason the teacher in Peanuts sounds like wah, 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 wah. With skills-based learning, the instructor plays the role of a coach. The instructor facilitates the learning instead of dictating it. The learner is in control of where they will go next and can look to the teacher for guidance along the way. A pep talk, if you will. In this coaching role, an instructor will often do a demonstration of a skill. This allows learners to see an expert performing a skill, and then they can immediately try it themselves. In a traditional classroom, a student learns a skill and may never practice it in a real context. Demonstrations ensure that students get immediate and meaningful practice. You may find yourself thinking, as instructional designers, how can we integrate skills-based learning into our curriculums and lesson plans? There are several ways to do this through the use of critical thinking, action, practice, and assessment. We need to add in significant time for our learners to engage in critical thinking and reflection. With skills-based learning, we are leaving rote memorization at the door and having our learners dig deep into the information they are learning about. How can they apply these skills in their lives? What will it look like for them? Next, we need to ensure that our learners can take the new information and transform it into action. This could look like a demonstration, as previously discussed, as well as lots of built-in practice time. The sooner we get learners engaged in the skills they are learning, the faster they will absorb the information and integrate it into their lives. Traditional classrooms use every possible minute to throw information at learners, hoping that something will stick. In skills-based learning, we know that practice is just as important, if not more important, than the knowledge itself. Create activities that let learners practice the skill in the classroom with the guidance of the instructor. Assessments are a big part of instructional design. Because skills-based learning is so different from traditional learning, it makes sense that the assessments will look a little different. Assessment of live demonstrations and practice will take the place of multiple choice tests or big exams where memorization is necessary. In the year 2022, we can't think about education without acknowledging the learning technology that goes along with each learning principle. Learning approaches are changing at such a rapid pace each year due to all the new technology we see being developed. There are several organizations that offer skills-based learning experiences online. edX, Coursera, Percipio, and Masterclass are just a few of them. The courses are drilled down and specific in many cases. As these platforms gain popularity, companies are now accepting certificates from these courses as legitimate education. Simulations are another great technology to practice skills in real time in a learning environment. A driving course where the teacher talks about particular driving rules feels very different than a driving course where you are behind the wheel and doing a simulation. Employers are looking for workers who are creative critical thinkers and problem solvers. A skills-based learning approach can help foster a better equipped workforce for the future. I encourage you as an instructional designer to use skills-based learning when crafting your courses.